It's December 1st, 2023. I am at Joel Pearl, and it's time to get in the weeds. Jeremy Lambert makes that face every single time I yell into the microphone, and it's been happening for 99 episodes now. Next week, Monday, is a very special Monday because it's main channel Monday, and also because it'll be episode 100. What are we going to do? Probably nothing. Why am I bringing this up? Probably because I'm trying to vamp for a couple of minutes because I was looking for something to hold while I do the things that I do, and so that I could make fun of Jeremy in the opening. So here we are. Hi, it's good to see you. Welcome in. Jeremy's here. I am here. Rocky Romero is going to be here at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. We're going to talk MLW One Shot and literally everything else because Rocky is literally everywhere else. So Jeremy Lambert, how the heck are you?
I'm going to ask Rocky Romero, Rocky, it's MLW One Shot. If you only had one shot, one opportunity, would you let it slip?
Could you please?
Oh, that's going to be my opening question to Rocky. Rocky is everywhere. He just did an interview with Sean not too long ago. I've seen him pop up on other channels and stuff. Like, Rocky's been asked, I feel like, everything under the sun. So I know Joel has a very good question that he has not been asked. This is going to be my question as well. Let's curate some questions for Rocky, because again, Rocky has done a ton of media. He is the forbidden door. He truly is. So let's, we like to ask our audience. I don't know if I'm freezing here. Ask, okay. All right. We like to ask our audience, what do you guys want to hear or seen be asked? Throw some questions out there for Rocky Romero that we can ask him here. What do you guys want to know from Rocky?
So what do you want to talk about? I'm looking forward to it. I was debating whether or not we're going to play partner promo punch in the face. I feel like for Rocky, because he is that guy and that forbidden door, I think we have to do it. And you know what? I already know who I'm going to do it with. So this will be fun.
You should ask him about, does Rocky love Emily? I love that. I love that question. Ryan Sullivan. I don't know. I almost want to ask it, but then it just gets weird of Rocky with 3 Ninjas, right? I feel like Rocky's a 3 Ninjas fan.
Maybe that's how he got his name, was from the 3 Ninjas franchise.
Maybe. See, he's been asked about Mercedes Moné. He has, he said he's going to talk, and he was going to talk to the reps and everything now that she's back training. So I feel like we're going to get a similar answer than to what we've already heard. We like to ask questions that I gotta let's air out some grievances on air here, Joel.
Yes, please.
No, my grievance is with you.
All right.
Kip Sabian, great interview with Kip Sabian. Everybody go back on Monday and watch that. Great interview with Kip Sabian. You asked about the box. It's a good question about the box. I'm like, I've heard this story so many times. Many times I've heard this story. But here's what I have to realize. What I have realized. Just because I've heard it, because I'm a crazy person and I listen to 300 interviews and a lot of the same interviews from the same people, doesn't mean our audience has heard it. So it was a good question to ask. I'm not saying it wasn't. But when you asked it, I'm just like, oh, I know this answer. I can give you this answer word for word, what he's going to say. And wrestlers are great because they're just great storytellers, and they will throw in an anecdote and everything. And the way he told it was very, very good. And when he talks about I need a box for a head, I was like, oh, that's a good little detail. That
I've heard this. Yeah. And I'd heard him tell these stories too.
Yeah. But as Senior Nerd says, I haven't, first time I've heard the box story.
Exactly.
And that's what that's what I do realize. But in the moment when I am in the interview, I'm like, oh, I've heard this. But yes, that doesn't mean our audience has heard this. So it was a good question. It was something worth bringing up because a lot of our audience probably had not heard that story. Just because I've heard it 3 million times because I listen to every wrestling podcast and every interview doesn't mean everybody else has. But so this goes back to my point about Mercedes Moné. He's been asked this question a bunch. That doesn't mean that we can't ask it, but he has been asked the Mercedes question. He's addressed the Mercedes stuff. We can ask it.
Well, so let me give you my kind of point of view to it, because I by the way, I largely agree with you. We're in a bubble, you and I and others who are in this, the reporting, reading, catching up with wrestling all the time. We see a lot of these answers, and there are people in our chat who said I haven't, and that's totally understandable. So re-asking isn't ever a problem. For me, when I try to ask a question that I already know has been told, I try to take a different angle. And I think most, good interviewers will try to take a different angle or take a different approach to get more out. When I was asking him, I wanted to get more on his, more on the how were you feeling when you were just standing out there in a damn box? It was less about tell me the story about how it came together. Because I knew that. I knew how the box came together. I knew the UPS and the severed head, illusion story. And it was funny. And I love that he tells it. But for me, I was like, I'm thinking to myself, if I'm standing outside in a box and people are just walking past me for the first few months that I'm doing it, that's got to be kind of depressing. And I wanted to get his view, and kind of maybe it was the way I framed it wasn't right, because I meandered a little bit on the question, but it was really just about how his mental health was at the beginning of it, because clearly it was messed up, as he said.
It was a question worth asking. You did frame it well, and I wanted to ask, the inspiration stuff, because I'd heard I knew he took inspiration from Shia LaBeouf with that, so I wanted to know who else he took inspiration from. This is what we need to ask about. Talking Shop Mania. When are we doing this again?
This has been asked a million times, and the answer is always the same: when it's right.
When Gallows and Anderson are free again to do it.
In 5 years, when Gallows in it, because Paul Levesque is making very good on this time around on their contracts after what happened the last time, where he was like, gonna re-sign you, no problem, bro. And then Vince was like, cut him. And that was that. This time, Triple H is just like, no, I owe them this time. I can't screw them like that again.
We don't need to ask when's it going to return, because we know it's not happening as long as they're under WWE contract. But asking about the previous ones, Katie mentions the Boner Yard match. This is the stuff we need to know about. How when they come to Rocky with these ideas, is he just yeah, sure, whatever you want to do type of thing, or does he got to be I got to rein you in a little bit on some of this stuff? That's what I want to know. Does Rocky, does he feel comfortable enough reining them in on stuff? Because Gallows, especially, he'll just go, man. He will just go, and bless him for it. It's just all about popping the boys. Good brothers is the only description for those two. Very, very only description of those two. I do want to ask this question, by the way. The strong title being part of the C2. That is something we will ask, because that, we talked about it on this show of, I thought Tom Lawler, Fred Rosser should be in this tournament, considering their ties to New Japan and New Japan Strong. They're obviously not. I do want Rocky's thoughts on that. So we got plenty of questions to ask Rocky. We're not hurting, but I also want to know, want to know what you people want to know as well.
Yeah, putting it on a place like Twitter is just begging for problems. So we'd rather have our friends here in the chat do it. And by the way, while you're here, go ahead, leave a thumbs up on the video and subscribe to us here at Fightful Overbooked, because that is getting us closer to our goal for the end of the year. You know what, Jeremy? Let's get to that 15,000 mark. We're very close. We're less than 200 subs away. You're not getting the fireworks. There they are. Fireworks are here. Get that sub goal for us. We want to get to that 15. Is it 15,000? Whatever it is. We want the next round number. Just get us there. Subscribe to the channel. It's free 99, everyone's favorite price. And while you're at it, if you want to be a little more generous with your money, and you got it, I know it's the holidays, I get it. But if you want to donate a super chat, any amount, get your question statement read on the air, and always makes us a little happier. Okay. We have a lot to talk about.
Do we?
We do. I mean, some is, okay, fine. We had a good week. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you. Thank you, Kenny. Okay, so let's.
I'm taking that for myself, by the way. Being the Elite's finished, He's not going to do it anymore. That's mine now.
Okay. Road to 15K. Let's go. Let's go with let's talk about the Fightful Select reports. Talks about CM Punk and Stone Cold Steve Austin being
that's Select report.
Yeah. Do you have another Select report you want to get on?
What about the early preview of Molly Bell's article?
That's
that is
up
now
already.
Up? Yeah, I know.
You can subscribe to Fightful Select for $10 and get early access. If you want that stuff, that's amazing. Get it. The Molly Bell article went up on Thursday on Select for early preview. It's now available on the main channel or the main site. Go check that out. But yes, we're going to talk about Austin and Punk because apparently now more than ever, for some reason, it is now on the table. Who'd have thought that all that had to happen to get Punk versus Austin was for CM Punk to come back to WWE?
Yeah, we've got Austin and Punk rumors, almost over a decade later, right? They filmed that stuff like WWE 2K13. I don't think it was 2K. I think it was just WWE 13. So like decade later, CM Punk and Steve Austin rumors, never came to fruition then with, Austin taking on Owens last year. Seems like it can be kind of likely with now. They wanted to get Austin for Mania this year. Austin said that like it wasn't feasible for his schedule because he was doing the doing the Stone Cold versus America, Stone Cold takes on that show on A&E that he was doing. And now we'll see if it happens this year. I think it's feasible. I think it's very feasible. I think it's a match. Austin's always liked and respected Punk, right? Like he's always said nice things about Punk. I think he's understood Punk, understood like his mindset, his mentality, sometimes his frustrations and things like that. I don't know about now, but certainly back then he's always spoken, relatively highly of him. And then obviously Punk wants it. Punk has been wanting that match for a decade, if not more. So if they can make it happen, I don't know why they won't try to make it happen. It's WrestleMania 40. It's a big milestone WrestleMania. I don't know if they put any extra stock into the anniversary WrestleManias, but I think they want to make every WrestleMania the biggest WrestleMania of all time. But certainly, that's a match they probably want to happen. And I wonder how everybody else feels about it, though. And by everybody else, I mean people in the back.
Yeah,
like
who cares what we think? We don't matter. We're just here to talk about the ideas, not the execution.
Right. Like I wonder how like they feel about it. And again, how they feel about Punk coming in general. And we've talked about it throughout this week. Like that stuff will probably start to manifest and show a little bit more as the weeks and months leading up to WrestleMania pass, and Punk gets the spot that he's going to get. But if you can make it happen, I think you have to. Honestly, I do. Like for a fan perspective, I want to see it. I want to see the promos on TV. Austin looked good in the match with Owens, but Owens, he was going to bump his ass off and like make sure all of that looked good. I think Punk's going to be very similar. Punk has enough respect to where he's going to be very similar in that. I don't know if he's going to bump as well as Kevin Owens did. Different styles and everything, but he's going to make sure it looks as good as possible.
Yeah. Do you think this is a Mania match, or is this anywhere else? Because remember on Wednesday we started talking about, I get it. I know on Wednesday we started talking about, is it Rollins and Punk for the title, or now this comes out that there's a possibility of doing Austin. We don't even know if this will happen. This is more like the feeling is that now more than ever it could happen, and that the floodgates are open, and that Punk was like, yeah, I'll do it. 10 years ago I was listening to an interview with Austin from 10 years ago, and Austin named CM Punk as an opponent he would come back to the ring for. But this was before Owens even debuted in WWE, before he was around and they did that match. He already had CM Punk on his brain, because at the time that was always a rumored dream match for both men, and clearly it's what they want to do, or at least it's definitely what CM Punk wants to do. Yeah, it could be a Mania match. I can see it that way. My general feeling is, if they haven't announced Punk going for the world title by the time they get to Raw on March 25th because it's at Allstate Arena, then that's where they'll do the Austin announcement. That's when they would pull the trigger, because we'll be 2 weeks out from Mania at that point. It's the same thing that happened with Kevin Owens when he was doing his little calling out Austin until finally 2 weeks out, Austin was like, let's do the KO show, and then it evolved into the match and all that stuff. So I could see them doing that. So if they don't have a match with the Rollins set for Mania by the 25th of March or whenever that Raw is at Allstate Arena, that's going to be the Austin match.
That makes sense. I would like them to set it up sooner rather than later. It's not that the Austin Owens, like, that was good. The match was good. Kevin like carried that program on Raw. I'd like to see Austin make some, and maybe he can make an appearance on that Raw in Chicago. But I'd like to see Austin actually make a Raw appearance or two leading up to the match. Because it would feel kind of late in the game to do Austin and Punk, 2 weeks beforehand. Like, it's Mania, it's gonna sell regardless. Punk's gonna make it sell regardless, like the program itself. But I would like that to be set up a little bit sooner. And Jeff Valley Driver makes a good point, and this is what I was talking about, where how did the rest of the people feel? Like, Mania, that means neither Becky or Seth is going to main event any night, because you ain't Austin Punk is main event. That's the main event right there. So yeah, that would mean they probably wouldn't get a main event spot. How do people feel about that?
Again, I go back to what I said on Wednesday when we talked about Rhea and Becky not getting it if it was Punk and Rollins. You say, yeah. You're not going on last, but here's a sack of money. Does that make you happy? We don't know what's going to make people happy, but we just know that, like, this is something that has satiated people in the past.
Okay, there's a big difference with that, though, because if it's Seth and Punk, at least it's a world title. At least Seth gets his moment. And Becky and Seth, obviously married. Becky can, be happy for her husband on that. Now you're alienating, though, Becky and Seth. Like, wait, I've now lost out on my moment again. Becky's like, wait, now I don't have this match. My husband doesn't have this match. This guy has this match. There's a bigger picture here. I don't think pictures are the right word, but there's a bigger issue here if it's Punk and Austin instead of Punk and Seth, because at least you're rewarding Seth. Like with Austin and Kevin Owens, nobody's really mad that main evented. I think everybody understood it. One, because they love Kevin Owens. Two, that everyone has the respect for Austin. You still got the respect for Austin, but the loving CM Punk part ain't the same thing as loving Kevin Owens. I'm sure you saw the Kevin Owens clip when he was asked about Punk, and Kevin was like, I just want to have fun. As long as he's here to show up, do the same thing, we're cool. And then he gives, like, a 5-minute love story to Randy Orton's return. So big difference in the answers there from Kevin Owens, and a big difference about the general backstage vibe when it comes to KO and how beloved he is compared to CM Punk and how people feel about him. Maybe if Punk really wants to show he's a team player and stuff, like, maybe you don't do Austin and Punk as the main event. It should be like that's the match. Like, it's tough to imagine that not being the main event, but maybe you don't do that as the main event. And then Punk's got to show, like, all right, you know what? Fine. I got to take this one on the chin. It should be the main event, but I get it. And that builds some goodwill with the rest of the talent too.
I just love this idea that we're just going to keep poking the CM Punk bear and just being like, you can't get angry. Yeah. You can't get angry. You can't get angry. Well, we're taking away things. You want the main event? You want Austin? Not the main event. You get Austin, but not the main event. I only laugh at it because just the idea of it is so hilarious to me. But also, you can't have one guy as popular as he is, come in and basically upend your entire, Mania plans. But Austin might be the guy that you can also do that for. It really comes down to the build. It really comes down. And again, this is one of those situations where if they do the match at WrestleMania, it's going to come down to how hot the build is. People are going to be excited for it, but like if one build has got people feeling a certain way versus another, then that's going to change where something sits on the card. That's just the reality of it. Some people are going to have to eat crow, and some people are going to be told, like, this is going to come down to how you perform. And I don't hate that as a potential scenario. If you go in being like, okay, Becky and Rhea, that's the match, then Becky and Rhea have to deliver as well. If you tell Becky and Rhea, hey, you want that main event slot, you gotta out promo, Punk and Austin, and maybe make some assurances that you're not going to try and sabotage it some way, because God knows that happens in wrestling. But the idea being, like, if you want it, you work for it, and they've worked for it the entire year. They have. Now the build has to be equally impressive.
It can be, and you can still, like, if you mentioned 2 weeks, Punk and Austin, all state, like, Punk does a call out, Austin shows up, they do a promo battle that night, one more week, maybe they're both there, maybe it's just video packages, whatever it is. Like, it's Punk and Austin. I know Becky and Rhea, they've had the build, they should probably get it, honestly. If that's on the table, but, like, it's going to be tough to supplant Punk and Austin. And, like, what's the match for Seth that you're thinking, even with a good build, this is going to be over Punk and Austin? Because I think Jimmy and Jay's going to have a good build. You ain't putting that over Punk and Austin. And Jimmy and Jay's a 3-year story, mind you.
You know what I like? I like that this conversation is giving a lot of different stories that have a lot of build and anticipation and can potentially all be main event spots. I like that. I like that the investment is there. Jimmy and Jay may not be a main event at WrestleMania, but it will be a featured attraction match. The idea of who will Seth face if it's not Punk could be Sammy. They can get into that business. Seth and Sammy wouldn't be the worst idea, especially if you want a wrestling match as your world title match. Those two would light it up and have that style of match. Whereas Punk and Stone Cold would potentially have another, street fight, brawl, walk and brawl type of scenario. Or Austin's going to be like, no, if I'm coming back to do a real match with CM Punk. None of this, BS like I did with KO. No offense to KO. We don't know. Again, it could be Drew Gulak goes down to Texas for a week or a month and works out a match.
Austin was doing walk-in brawls in his prime. He wasn't doing real matches.
But maybe he wants to go back to his stunning Steve. Maybe he's going to grow out the skullet and just get everyone excited.
He ain't done real match since, and unfortunately, the pile driver incident. He said it himself. He's had to change up his whole style because of that. So he's doing walk and brawl regardless. And Punk, I said this after All In. I said it after All In. Punk is a big arena performer. You saw it at All In. Like, Punk and Joe went out there and had a big arena match because they've been on that stage before. Punk's going to go, and it's certainly WrestleMania, he's going to have, and against the guys limited as Austin, he's going to have a big arena match. So I think Punk will be just fine in the match. Austin, whatever Austin wants to do, he's going to do. Seth and Sammy, you can do a good story off of that, but, like, it's tough for me to see any match bigger than Punk and Austin as the main event. I do think, by the way, I know, like, you're kind of joking about dangle the carrot, like, you can't get mad. You can't get mad. I do legitimately think that, like, the best option is, like, you'll get the match with Austin, but you got to concede that just it's not going to be the main event here because you ain't been here all year working and everything. It's going to sell out regardless. You're going to get paid regardless. You just won't get this main event spot, and you gotta accept that. You got to be happy with that. And then next year, put the work in for a full year, then we'll see if you can get the main event spot. That might be the best course of action there because, okay, you risk upsetting Punk. They were doing fine without Punk. We've mentioned that. They were doing fine without Punk. At the end of the day, he still gets his match against Steve Austin. I think that would make him happy enough. And that's one of those things of, like, look, I faced Austin. It wasn't the main event, but, like, who else besides Kevin Owens can say they faced Stone Cold Steve Austin on this roster?
So, our Chicago historian and Chicago enthusiast Phil Lindsay over on Grapsity, called him Cash Money Punk. I know that's not the first time anyone's called him that, but he was the one I most recently heard him call that. And I immediately was like, yep, that's exactly what we're doing here. And that's fine. Maybe Punk is just like, yeah, I'm going to work some fun, creative stories, get some stuff out that I always wanted to do match wise. He's not here to work with young talent. He didn't come here. He didn't do any of the I'm here to work with the young talent, lines from his
WWE doesn't have young talent.
Yeah, that's true. Everyone who's in NXT is a certain age. What about that young spry LA Knight? Yeah. But the point I'm trying to make here is that he came in and he wants to take on the best of the best here. He wants to take on the main eventers. He wants to take on the people who are featured prominently in WWE, and he wants to be that guy on top. He basically said the brass ring is in my back pocket, alluding to the pipe bomb where, the mythical brass ring was part of the conversation. This is an opportunity for Punk's potential story to be, I am the best in the world, and now I'm going to prove it in this generation. That's okay with me. And if he comes in and he has high money matches with big money, wrestlers, then great. Let's do that. It just comes down to how the stories are told. And Austin could be that this is why I'm like, do we do this right away? Austin could be that last big money match that he builds to, that he's like, I never had this, but I've done everyone else. Now I want Austin.
I mean, they can do Austin. They can do it at Mania.
But I'm saying they don't necessarily have to do it with Austin at Mania. They could even do it a year from now at Mania 41. I know. But again, you have to kind of trust that if Punk wants to be on his best behavior, this is, again, now we're dangling the carrot long term. Now the carrots are 1 year away. Mania 41. You want Austin, you got to go through all of these programs first with people that in some cases you've wronged or you've said some disparaging things about in the past. How can you work with them before you go work with your best pal Stone Cold?
I think if Austin wants to do the match of this Mania, you go ahead and you do it. It's going to come down to Austin, right? Punk's obviously going to agree to that match. He's not like, let me work with Seth instead of Steve Austin here. No offense to Seth. I think that's the program they're trying to set up. I think that's the program they should do. But if Austin's there, you're going to do that match and you're going to do it while you can if Austin's agreeable to it, because you don't know if he's going to be agreeable to it next year. You don't know what the schedule is going to be like next year for them. Like, you have to do it. This is where they kind of missed the boat on the Rock stuff last year. It's like, okay, if it was set up, it was agreed to. And look, I think there's some brothering going on of how far into talks they were with that match, no matter what Rock says. But like, if it was there, then you should have done it last year. I don't care if you trying to tell this great cinematic story of like, the story didn't work for me there. Like, if it was there, you should have done it, because there's no guarantee you're getting it this year. There's no guarantee you're getting it at all. So if Austin's agreeable to do it this year, and these are two guys too that, unlike Roman and Rock, where they're trying to tell this deep cinematic story because it's bloodline and their family and everything, Punk and Austin don't need this deep shit. Just give them microphones and let them go. That's all you need. You ain't trying to tell this layered ass story with CM Punk and Steve Austin. You're trying to just be like, one guy wants to whoop this guy's ass, probably because he won't have a beer with him, and the other guy wants to prove that he is the counterculture icon and wants to prove that he is better than this person. That's it. That's all you're doing with this. And they're also trying to prove who had the bigger walkout when they took their balls and they went home. People are making the glass shatter jokes.
Yeah, that would be, yeah. Austin comes out and says, I use real glass. And Punk just being like, that's not safe.
They gotta bring back, but they gotta bring this. They'll never do it because they're so LED boards and shit nowadays. They gotta bring back like the glass partition thing that breaks when you go. That's the greatest entrance of all time.
For a Mania entrance, they can absolutely do that. They can do a big remember the Triple H WrestleMania 27 entrance where he throws the hammer at the glass wall and it breaks, but then it turned out that they had recorded it earlier in the day and that they had to like show it to they had to cut basically through it, because if you watch, there's like a cutaway. He throws the hammer, the glass shatters, and then it's an empty arena in the shot because of the cameras behind Triple H, and then they cut and they're back live in the arena and the room is full again. I thought that was really funny. I'm looking up when Raw's in Atlanta coming up. on the road to Mania, but they're not. Because then I would have been like, let's do a Raw in Atlanta where neither man show up, and then they say they took their ball and went home. Because that's where it happened with Austin back in 2002, 2001, 2002. Yeah. Anyway.
So Punk and Austin. What's your percentage of this actually? We'll play the percentage game. Shout out Will Washington.
Do we have to?
Yeah. What's your percentage of this happening, Joel?
I am 60% that this would happen. I sat at 50-50 when the report. Stop it. I sat at 50.
It's mine now.
All right, fine. I'm saying 60-40 because I'm 50-50 when the report came out. How many times has Sean, reported a story, and then we've sat here humming and hawing, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, it's happening again. This is not like we are really friggin' good at this on Fightful, but like we break a story or we talk about a story and then it happens. Typically when we put something out like this, it's closer to happening than even we might think. So I'm at 60%.
All right. The headline of this story is WWE sources optimistic CM Punk versus Stone Cold could happen. So it's clearly from the WWE side, not the CM Punk side. I'm sure Punk wants it to happen. It's going to come down to Austin. I'm with you that Sean doesn't do this unless he feels confident about it. But we're still a few months out. The Punk, or not Punk, the Austin story last time came out on Valentine's Day, because that was the big news day. That's when Cody left. Cody left AEW as well. Everybody's just trying to spend time with their significant other, and wrestling's just like, I don't care about your family life, as wrestling does. So they're putting it out there now, and we'll see. I feel like it's 50-50 right now. I feel like it's 50-50 because I'm sure WWE was confident in December, or optimistic, not confident. I'll use the correct terminology that Sean used. I'm sure they were optimistic last December they could get something for Austin to do at Mania this year, and then nothing happened because look, stuff just comes up, stuff changes. So I feel like it's 50-50 right now.
Some of the chat are saying 69%, and I need to bring that up because, nice. Yeah, I mean, listen, we're gonna see how that plays out. There is no lack of storytelling for both the match and other options for Punk. That's kind of the positive here, is that you have a fresh in WWE CM Punk to work with, and you have Stone Cold, who is Stone Cold. Like you said, Jeremy, it can easily just be we both want to be the man, or we both want to beat each other's asses, and on top of that, which one is the king of counterculture? Because both of them at one time in their career represented counterculture in professional wrestling storytelling. So who knows? It could be a lot of fun regardless, seeing Punk and Austin. It could be a lot of fun seeing Punk and Seth. Again, the storytelling is amazing there. And we'll see where that winds up. So it's good.
Here's the true elephant in the room that we have not brought up on any of this. Where does Brock Lesnar fit in?
Buddy, I've been saying Punk and Lesnar we gotta run it back. Why wouldn't we? I know y'all talked about it on the Spotlight, or at least you made reference to it. One of the better matches that Punk had during that later run. We could do that. I would love to see it one more time and have Lesnar come in and just be like, Punk just looks at Lesnar and be like, what happened to you? See the hair, the long hair and the beard. Punk just be a complete dick, and Lesnar be like, what happened to you? Just let them be completely just dumb and make references to UFC careers. Let Lesnar go all in on Punk's UFC tenure.
I think Seth is bringing that up, or Dominic. Dominic's already brought it up on Twitter. Yeah. I think one of those guys to bring it up long before Lesnar gets there.
Everyone just brings it up. Every Roman brings it up. Paul brings it up. And then all of a sudden Punk is just like, yes, I was in UFC. Yes, I lost 2 matches. Technically, I won one several years later, but please move on.
No, he didn't win. It was just a no contest.
It was a no
He didn't
contest.
technically win. He didn't technically lose.
There you go. He didn't technically lose, so therefore he won, and he'll do a victory lap running around the ring because that's what Punk does.
Man, I don't know if we're doing this media literacy episode for episode 100 on Monday, but
Feels like
I
now
understand. I understand Sean's frustration with this. I truly, truly do, because it was reported on Monday. I didn't want to get too much into this, but I also did make it my headline. So it was reported on Monday by Hausman that Punk wasn't taking a shot at the Young Bucks with the victory lap, and I literally said on this show, like, I corrected Zarian because Zarian kind of brought it up, and I was like, no, he wasn't doing that. There's video. He was just clapping his hands, kind of getting the crowd up. There was no victory lap. And then, Hausman put out the report, and people were like, oh, okay. And I was like, yeah, there's literal video. We didn't need a report. There's literal video of it not being a victory lap. And then people couldn't understand. Maybe I didn't word it well, but, if you watch the video, you could see he's not taking a victory lap. If you think, I guess people can't read into my thoughts or anything, but like, if you think that's a victory lap in the same vein the Young Bucks took one, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I don't know what to tell you on that. So I had to like clarify. And then people are so confused of like, I still don't know which side. Like, really? What are we doing here? What are we doing? And the fact that like, I found it hilarious. People were like, I would call you a slur if over this. And I'm just like, are you admitting this out loud? Like,
these people again, I tweeted this back before I had any sort of following. If you, and I've said this on the show, so y'all have heard this, get ready for it. If your avatar on social media is not your face or the brand you represent, you are most likely under the age of 16, over the age of 65, and completely worthless to this conversation. So just ignore, block, or mute if you have to. It's your energy. Just ignore them.
Yeah. And they were in my mentions all day arguing over this stuff, and I didn't. Yes, exactly. And I didn't pay any mind to it, but the person who just decided to just be like, I would call you a slur, and then there's like, oh, you work for Fightful, whatever. I'm just like, are you just like, I thought it's not funny to admit that, but I'm just like, are you really admitting this out loud? Like, what are we doing here that you are going to admit this out loud? What are we doing?
These are the same people that get that think that nobody if they have a job, that's the first caveat, that nobody is found and is actively keeping a tab on their social media, or they're sitting there just being like, I don't say anything that bad, and then they realize they didn't get that job or promotion because of literally everything they said being bad.
I do agree with some people, by the way. TBZ Mike says, what if I don't want my face on the internet? Yeah, some people don't like want their face out there. And look, if you're one of those people, I respect that completely. Yes. Then just go about your business and be a normal person and don't be a dick.
Like, yeah, that's really what I'm getting at, is if you find someone who's being a complete dick on the internet to you, and that in their avatar is something other than what I'm talking about, then yes, they are under 16, over 65, and just don't bother. If you're, listen, DBZ Mike, I get it. You want to remain anonymous, totally understandable. You're not a dick. I haven't seen you be a dick to us here. I haven't seen you be a dick to people in the chat. I'm fine with your anonymity because you haven't given us a reason to be like, why is this guy being a dick?
Yeah, I don't know. It was something, and I was like, man, this is literally what Sean deals with all the time, and I feel bad for him for that. And
Kate too, by the way, Kate too gets it too. And there are people who are going to be thinking, well, they also like fight back on it and they don't have to, and it's true. They don't have to, but I think to a certain degree, when some of the battles that they choose are worth having. And yeah, it just brings out the worst in people. It's very frustrating.
Yeah. Anyway, not you guys in the chat. We love all of you guys. You guys are great. Some people. I love the chats.
You bury the chat at every chance you get.
There's no proof of me ever burying the chat. There's no proof of me ever saying disparaging remarks about Adam Copeland, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. There's no proof of any of this.
We're going to talk about them in just a little bit. Yeah, no, I that's true. I do hate everything.
Joel hates AEW.
That's true. That's why I'm waiting so long to not talk about it, so that we only have like no time. Stop that. We only have so much time once we get to Rocky that we only get like 10 minutes for any AEW. No, let's talk about AEW. By the way, Rocky Romero joins us at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. It's 10:45 now, so get ready for that. It's going to be a good conversation talking about MLW One Shot and literally every other company that he works for, which is literally every other company you can think of, except for WWE. But he has friends there, so there's that. AEW. I very much enjoyed Dynamite this week. I think it went by. I think it went by it was well paced. I'm not going to be like, oh, it went by so quickly. But when I say that, actually, I think it's a pretty good thing, because I didn't feel like I was watching like 2 hours just drag by. No, I looked up at the clock. I was like, oh, it's already 9:30. Like, we're getting close to the main event. This is great. And the main event isn't like a 30-minute match that they're doing because it's Continental Classic and 20-minute time limits, but it was more like it was just well-paced, well-planned, some really good backstage segments, some good in-ring, both matches and talking segments. Nothing really sucked in a way that, like, I want to call it, well, it was one thing, but nothing really sucked so bad that like I want to call it out that bad. But Ric Flair's still around, so there's that. Revolution is going to be March 3rd. That's a Sunday, and they're going to be doing it in Greensboro, North Carolina, at the Coliseum. The history's there. We talked about it once upon a time, as that would be the place to do it. If not there, then Atlanta. Nope, turns out it's going to be Greensboro. First question, Jeremy, are you going?
I'm gonna try. I'm making the towns, brother.
Seriously.
Yeah, I'm gonna be in rough shape this weekend. But I'm gonna try to do the Greensboro show. That's the plan. Plans can change, but I'm gonna definitely try to make it. I gotta be there for Sting's last match. I know a lot of people are gonna try to make it, so it's gonna be easier said than done, I assume. But we're gonna try to make it happen.
The melted candle known as Ric Flair delivered a promo,
or
at least he talked. I'm getting this out of the way now so that we can talk about the things that were actually quite good about the show.
All right.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't want to spend too much time on it, because again, I largely enjoyed Dynamite. But like, what are we doing here? Flair comes out, he's in the promo. I feel bad for Sting, even though Sting is so jazzed that his pal Ric Flair is a part of this. I think he's going to start seeing that this is not working the way he wanted it to. Yeah, what do we think of the old melted wax candle?
So
and we've done this before, you and I. We've talked about why historically this might be important to Sting, and why historically this is, there's a reason to be doing this. Now, unfortunately, we have to deal with 2023 Ric Flair trying, and in some cases really failing to understand what fans of this promotion are interested in and invested in, and also when to pull back and stop being the star of the show.
Rick's going to be Rick, right? We knew Rick was going to be Rick. It's just a matter of how you're going to limit him to do on things he's going to do and say and whatnot. The Dynamite promo was a backstage thing. He was there. It was then the stuff came out about what he said on Rampage. Look, so for those that don't know what he allegedly said, I have not seen video, so I don't know if people weren't recording it. I don't know. It was just, there were multiple tweets about it, and I don't know if one person tweeted it and then it's like, oh, let's pick up on this. Like, you know how that happens when it comes to the internet, right? Like, one person, what happened with Mason Mansoor? They were like, hey, Matt Riddle bitch slapped Gunther, and people just ran with that and then never said that. So I don't know what the issue, if it was actually said or anything like that. But what was allegedly said was that Rick invited any female 18 to 28 to his hotel room, no husbands, no boyfriends. That's what he allegedly said. If anybody has video, please send that. Like, I would like to get any type of confirmation. If he said it, I would imagine that does not air. Otherwise, the fuck are we doing over at AEW to make that air? I imagine that's not going to air tonight on Rampage. And if he said it, he shouldn't be on television. Like, he shouldn't. He shouldn't be on television at all. People, and I've seen people, like, he made that tweet yesterday with his friggin' every word capitalized nonsense.
Shall I read this out loud?
Yeah, read the tweet.
Ric Flair tweeted yesterday at just 5:43 Eastern. I am, yes, all capital letter, all capitalized first letter of the word. I am so tired of hearing all this negativity. I don't need to work and I don't need the money. Can't I simply enjoy being by my dear friend Sting's side for the next few months without so much hatred? I know I'm old, but that doesn't mean I can't enjoy life. I have earned the right to do whatever I want and exactly where I want, and I'm exactly where I want to be. I appreciate everything, Tony Khan, but I'm more than willing to walk away if I am embarrassing you and your company. All I can say is I'm sorry! Exclamation point.
If he said this, he should be walking away because he is embarrassing Tony Khan and the company. He is.
I'm going to add, he also tweets it out with a photo, knowing that that's how you get direct engagement. And it's a photo from Full Gear of him with his head down and Sting with his head down looking sorry. So, like, this is very, very contrived. And he's very much trying to play old man, I'm sorry. Continue, please.
If he said it, he should walk away because he is embarrassing Tony Khan and AEW. And I know it's a small contingent of fans that are online and an even smaller contingent of fans that know about this story, because I saw that I saw a lot of comments, the fan like, no, you're still Ric Flair, you're the man, blah, 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 blah. And then, yeah, even had people like Jericho and Miro of like, you're still Ric Flair. Like, you're Flair. You can do this. You don't let him. And I'm wondering, I'm truly wondering, because I don't know. Are they defending that he is Ric Flair, which is one thing to defend, and it still might not be like the greatest thing to defend? Or are they defending the promo where he allegedly said these things? Because if it's the latter, they need to be checked as well. If they are defending him saying, hey, females 18 to 28, when I'm 75 years old, come into my hotel room, no husbands, no boyfriends, they should be checked on that as well, because there's no place for them to defend that. There's no defense for that. He is 75, maybe 73. I don't know. Ric Flair doesn't know his own age. So, but like, you can't just, oh, he's Ric Flair. That's not a defense for this. Maybe it was a defense when he was in his 20s, 30s, 40s. It's not a defense when he's in his 70s. Like, it's, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's, if this is him getting ahead of it, he did a bad job. Someone was saying this is Andrade and Conrad coaching him. I don't think he was coached. I think like he's,
no, because his statements when the Dark Side of the Ring episode came out were terrible as well, and then he had to put out a statement on top of a statement on top of a statement because the first one was so bad.
So yeah, this is Flair acting on his own and just being like, I'm poor old man, please. It was a different time, but I'm saying this now because I love life. And it's like, no, you've always been this way. You've been told that this is not right and you're acting this way. Why do you think it's still okay to get on the, like, unless, listen, here's the only exception. He comes out and he says, I have dementia and I say some shit sometimes. And at that point, it's just like, all right, well, maybe the old man shouldn't be on TV. The worst part about this is that he's like, I'm sick of the negativity. Well, guess what this tweet is going to bring forth, Rick? It's going to bring forth more negativity across all sides. And why are we talking about it? Because it wasn't just a promo. It was said to a room full of people who did not feel comfortable by him saying it. And we live in an age where on social media, this stuff travels, and people who are fans of these companies go to support the company and the show and attend the shows wanting to enjoy it and have a good time and feel safe. So that's why we talk about it here. Because if the feeling at these shows is that it's okay that he says this shit and that he's cheered for saying this shit, then other people are going to act out and believe this shit is okay. And it's not okay. So we need to stop pretending like a promo is a promo and it's just acting, when there are people out there who are friggin' weird in wrestling worlds and think that it's just okay to do these things and say these things.
I wish it was a promo, because a promo implies that you are trying to sell a match or an angle or a feud or anything like that. This does nothing of that. It doesn't do, there was no point to it. Like, again, a promo implies you're trying to get something over. What are you trying to get over except creepiness? I wish it was a wrestling promo, because he probably wouldn't have said it if it was a wrestling promo.
It was a promo 30, 40 years ago when he said it in the ring. And times have very much stopped that. Times have changed.
Bringing some levity to the conversation.
Thank you. That's why I had to giggle when I said it. But this is why 20, 30, 40 years later, things have changed. And this is what's so incredibly annoying to me about the fact that it's happening in AEW, is that a lot of fans of AEW found AEW because they felt it was a more comfortable representation of wrestling and something that they felt comfortable going to as a fan, because that was the culture that was cultivated by the talent that were coming in at the time. Now a lot of those fans are starting to feel differently, and it's not good. And we talk about, a number down here or an empty arena or a not as full arena here and whatever. I'm not going to say that something like this is directly responsible for it, but it doesn't add to the opportunities of building your fan base to fill those arenas again. This isn't like this is the reason, but these become contributing factors.
Yeah. And we mentioned it when Ric Flair got signed, of the values of Ric Flair, right? Like, older fans will be like, oh, Ric Flair, he's on television. Cool. Maybe I'll tune in and see that. Flair does media. Flair did a bunch of media in Minnesota that maybe, people are like, oh, Rick, what's he doing? Oh, he's at this company. Oh, I'll go get tickets, type of thing. He does that stuff. There is very little at this point value in Ric Flair, but there's some value in having him. I think you got to be held accountable if you're going to use him for this value, and nobody's really held anybody accountable for this. But there's no value in putting him on television and giving him a microphone like this. There's not, unless he's just there to put Sting over, which is what he should be there to do. Otherwise, there's no real value of having Ric Flair on TV. He's just dude on TV who, he's only out for himself. He's only out to get himself over. That's always been Ric Flair's goal in wrestling, is to get himself over in these promos. Ever since, he stopped being a full-time worker type of thing. Like, yeah, sure, he put Sting over. He Evolution, he had his role and stuff. But, like, since he's just been this version of himself, he's just like, what can I do for the Ric Flair brand? And that's what he's trying to do in this promo that he allegedly said. I want to keep saying allegedly because, look, I'm not the type of person that just runs with internet rumor. This is why a lot of people got in trouble with the Gunther and Riddle stuff, right? Like, because everyone was like, oh, I can't believe he said that. I can't believe they said that. I can't believe this happened. It's like, well, Mason Mansoor never said that. There was no video of it because they never said it. I haven't seen video of this, and I imagine it's going to be edited tonight if it was said. We might be able to tell. I know they are promoting it, by the way. I saw somebody mention that, like, they're promoting that they're going to speak. That doesn't mean they're promoting these comments by Ric Flair. I imagine they've seen the backlash to where, like, if they said it, it's gonna get cut. The fact that, like, no one has really come out and said, like, no, this didn't happen, makes me believe that it did. But again, I'm not the person who is going to be like, this definitely happened 100%, unless I've seen it for myself.
Before we move on, and I would like to move on, I do want to point out one thing, and that was Jeff Valley Driver, who's often here and brings up a lot of good points. He kind of added to what I was saying, that AEW was considered this major inclusive company when it debuted. And this is one of the reasons why I would love to see Kenny and the Bucks do a little more media in general. And this is something we've talked about, because they started the company on the backs of that idea. And I can only assume they still feel this way today. So for them to come out and this isn't about Ric Flair at this point. This is just about, you want to talk about bringing the feeling back, like MJF had mentioned. This is one way that you can do that after a situation like this. I'm not going to call it an incident. It's something that was said and it's got people feeling a certain way, and that's understandable. I would love to see Kenny, the Bucks, anyone who was a day one member of that roster, do more than just tweet out on social media all at the same time, I love my job, I love AEW. I want to see more people come out and talk about what that feeling is that they're bringing back.
And nobody's said anything. All we've seen is the support for Rick on this, with Miro and Jericho. Maybe Daniel Garcia tweeted something and deleted it, of like, not happy with this Ric Flair nonsense. All right, I'm going to address this. Mike Tyson is embraced by everyone with his past. In the NFL, Deshaun Watson is allowed to play football. Why are we condemning Ric Flair? 3 wrongs don't make a right. Mike Tyson should not be embraced by everyone. And matter of fact, like, when photos are posted of him, like at the UFC event, there's that one photo. It's like Dana White, Mike Tyson, Eminem. And people are like, here's a rapist, a wife abuser, and Eminem. And it's like, oh, you think Eminem would be the worst guy in this because of his lyrics? It's like, no, he's actually pretty clean, all things considered, compared to these other people. People don't embrace Mike Tyson when it comes to this. He's still paraded around the same way Ric Flair is paraded around. By the way, they're in business together.
And when Tyson showed up in AEW, guess how people felt about that too? People weren't as loud as maybe we are right now, because Tyson didn't say anything at the time. He was on good behavior. That's not an excuse. That is just representative of his appearance. Yeah. People still were like, yeah, his past, he's shady and shitty. Yes. People still brought that up, and rightfully so. You can do that. But when you go into someone's house and you start kicking their couch with your dirty feet, now you got to talk about it.
And the Deshaun Watson thing, I don't think he should be in the league. And the Texans didn't want him in the league. The Browns, I will say this about this. Like, my wife is a Browns fan. We used to watch football together every Sunday. And then the Browns signed Deshaun Watson. She doesn't watch Cleveland Browns football anymore because she doesn't support it, and she's not going to support them for employing this person. That's her right. The people who continue to support the Browns and want to continue to watch their games, that's their right too. Maria, you mentioned you're a woman, you feel AEW is inclusive, the Flair situation doesn't change. Okay, that's fine. Like, no one is saying you have to feel differently, but you also can't tell other people how to feel about this either, because there are people who are upset about this. If you feel included and you don't see the Ric Flair situation as a big thing, more power to you. Honestly, more power to you. You support who you want to support. You watch the things you want to watch, but you got to understand that other people are going to have opinions about this too. And if you don't like that, if you don't like the other people's opinions, if you don't like that people aren't going to be supportive of Ric Flair, and you don't like that people are going to call out the Ric Flair, then I don't know, watch something else.
Oh, I thought you were going to be, you can just get out.
No,
I know. I thought you were going to do the South Park thing. That's all.
Nah. What are we doing South Park for? Nah.
We love South Park. I'm sorry.
I do love South Park.
I know. Anyway, yeah, exactly. Jeff Valley Driver says that we can call out Ric Flair and still stop it. And still like
it's mine.
It is yours. Oh man. Anyway, let's move along because I think we've made our points. Let's talk about what we enjoyed on AEW Dynamite. Let's talk about the MJF Devil stuff. The Devil. First of all, let's talk about the fact that the mass assailants now have sweaters, not yet available for purchase on awshop.com, but I'm sure they will, because if there's one thing the Devil did, it's hack the stream, so they should be able to hack Pro Wrestling Tees and get those things uploaded for profit. I want one of those shirts. I want the Bullet Club jackets, and I want the Devil hoodies. Those are the only two things I want in wrestling right now. This segment was good. I think MJF did a really good job of not getting into that yelly zone that he tends to get into.
A good promo.
Yes, it was a really solid promo. And when he finally got upset, he got upset for the right reasons. And for that, I really appreciated the promo. And I like that, MJF and Samoa Joe is going to be a match that people want to see. Unfortunately, now with the news about the injuries, it's kind of, well, I don't know if it's unfortunate. We'll see how they play it out. But people are just kind of like, oh, MJF is going to, break in half at any moment due to the injuries, and Samoa Joe is just going to win the title by virtue of injury. Maybe that's not the case, but I like what we did on Dynamite. I like that the Devil made a non-appearance, but still made an impact. What did you think of this whole thing? Because I was very much entertained and enjoyed by it.
I thought doing the words on the screen instead of the voice thing, because everybody wanted to, we were trying to break down the laugh from the Devil and it being like, oh, that's Jack Perry's laugh. Like, people were trying to analyze the friggin' laugh. They're going to analyze everything. Analyze typing. Can we do that? Can we analyze the typing speed? That's what we need to do.
Yeah,
we need to get all the wrestlers.
If you watch Impact, that was the Dirty Dango gimmick. They'd ask a question and type, and then he'd get the answer.
We need to get all the wrestlers to give their typing speed so we can see who is doing this typing. Who uses Times Roman numeral? I don't know what font they actually used on this, but who uses Times so we can figure out who this was. I like that. I like that the way they did it. I still think it's Adam Cole. I'm coming around to the theory that it could be MJF, and I know people are like, well, they attacked MJF and everything, but they didn't it didn't hit him with the pipe. Samoa Joe made the save. MJF knew Samoa Joe was going to have his back because he wants MJF at 100%, right? But why are we doing this tag team match next week? Joe was not happy that MJF agreed to this tag team match, but what if it's to soften up Samoa Joe so he's not 100%? So Joe's going to do all the work because he doesn't want MJF hurt more. And so MJF could still be the Devil. I think it's Adam Cole, though. That's still where I'm leaning towards. It's Adam Cole.
What if it's multiple people? What if the Devil, and I know this has been posited before, but what now more than ever, I think there's reference to make, of the Devil being multiple people. Adam Cole, Jack Perry, Britt Baker, after the tweet that she dropped about, how she's had no promo time in 2023. I like that came out right after that segment. I like that she mentioned, no one's going to check on my fiance, my partner, but you're all gonna. There's a jealousy of Max in her tweeting right now. During shows, by the way, which is when, like, in the kayfabe, this is kind of like the plus and minus of social media, is that if you're terminally online, like a lot of AEW fans are and a lot of wrestling fans are, it's fine. In the moment, you're like, oh, and then you kind of take a step back and you're like, oh no, this happened between 8 and 10 on a Wednesday Eastern time, so therefore it's part of canon. You see it 3 days later and you're like, oh, she's shooting, and you're like, hold on, check the timestamp. But this is why I like what Britt did. She tweeted it during the show, therefore during work hours, therefore that gives her an opportunity to be maybe one of those Devils. Britt, Adam Cole, Jack Perry, and maybe it's MJF too. Because if Adam Cole, let's say it's an Adam Cole and MJF are working together as the Devil, and they're just going to be like, we got all of you. I don't know who he goes up against at that point. The Elite.
Yeah, I don't like
Kenny Omega. Chris Jericho. sorry. Even I couldn't get that one out. I don't love the idea of it being Cole and MJF doing a turn together. I don't hate it, but I'm not married to it. But I am thinking more of the idea that it's multiple people wearing the mask and being like, screw you, Max. You took away from all of us when we were at our hottest, or when we were building to our hottest. That's where I'm at.
I don't mind that. Like Cole, people are making the Wardlow because he had the messed up hair and the one dude was a pretty bigger guy. So people have mentioned Wardlow. Like obviously he has henchmen out there, right? So it could be Cole, Britt, Wardlow, Jack Perry, all just kind of working together. They're all it makes them kind of equal playing field instead of this person was the devil. These are the henchmen around them. It's like, no, we're all kind of an equal group here. I don't like MJF and Adam Cole working together and they both turn because you got to make a baby face out of this. And the baby face is either going to be, let's assume it's Cole or MJF. The baby face is the other guy. Either MJF is the big baby face because he got fucked over by a guy who thought he was his best friend, or Adam Cole is the big baby face because he got fucked over by the guy who he thought was his best friend. So the big baby face coming out, you got to make one of those. And if they're both a heel, you don't really make a baby face out of this. I guess you could do really like 2-man power trip type of thing because that never got off the ground with Austin and Triple H. Like you kind of do that,
Kind of where I'm at.
AEW hasn't been the best at like top tier baby faces though. Hangman's the guy, and they won't commit to that fully. Moxley's baby face, but like he's also kind of a dick and heelish. Everything they haven't gone full on like baby face. They haven't proven they can always do that. They're very good at making heels, and they're very good at like the heel making kind of a person into a baby face. But just having a purebred baby face, they haven't always been the best at that. And I think that's where this person is going to end up being. And look, they got enough heel. Swerve's the guy when it comes to being like your pure hated heel. So
but they're definitely cheering him right now. Right?
Yeah, I know.
It's kind of but I also trust Swerve that he will bring it back somewhere because he's done it before, stopping the Nana dance and the home invasion and stuff like that. So yeah, right now people are really into Swerve because Swerve has been performing on a level that people really appreciate. But now they have to buy in to something dastardly that keeps him getting booed as a respectful boo. In other words, like, we know what you're doing, so we're going to follow along. That's something that we talked about. I want more AEW talent to focus on, is if you're a bad guy, you are getting the boos you need to be getting as a bad guy.
I do like when people are making the comment, oh, we are all the devil. I mean, I made that joke with the thing of like, oh, it's a guy on a keyboard hiding behind a mask. It's the IWC is all the devil. Like, I don't know. You did the like mirror thing, the green screen thing, right, Joe? What if it's just like a mirror? Like, yeah, they unmask, it's just a giant mirror. That's who the devil is. Like, it's all of you. You are all the devil.
That would be so meta and so proper for this company. I would love it. Weisel made a really good point that I want to bring up, and that's here's where I'm confused. They attacked Jay White, then the Acclaimed, and now they want Max. Isn't that kind of wonky? So the Acclaim thing is, if it is Adam Cole, then they lured Max into a false sense of security to attack the Acclaimed, his friends. The Jay White thing, that is a little strange. That was to set up the fact that he's here, and that was just kind of an introduction. Now they want Max. That's kind of the guy who the idea here was to get to Max. But if it is Max, then he's setting himself up. But also Max is kind of that guy who would do that to Cry Wolf and be like, all the way up to the point where he unmasks and it's me, Austin. It was me all along. But then says, I made friends with all of these people to lure them into a self, just to show you that all the baby faces are idiots here, or whatever you would say.
See, if it's Adam Cole or if it's MJF, I think it still can all kind of make sense. The Jay White one's kind of almost the toughest to explain because the way everyone tried to explain it at the time, which kind of made sense, is like, oh, well, if it's Adam Cole, they don't want Jay White to get the title. So that's why they're trying to take out Jay White. But then Jay White stole the title anyway. And then he had the match with him, and MJF was like super hurt. And Adam Cole screwed up half that match anyway by almost like costing MJF the match. And the fact that I said it after Full Gear is like the fact that like this started with an attack on Jay White, and then they didn't do a whole lot with it outside of the Acclaimed attack, and then they did nothing with it at Full Gear. It's like, oh, why was the first attack Jay White? They got to tie that back around somehow. The Acclaimed attack makes sense because, like, oh, these are Max's friends. We don't want Max to have any friends. And the Max attack makes sense because that's who your target is. The Jay White thing, the only way to explain is like, I don't want this person to have the title, but then the storytelling after that, and then why aren't you attacking now? Samoa Joe, who's going after the title?
Chat's already pointed this out, and I largely agree with them. It was to make people think that it was Max when they brought the Devil back.
Okay.
And that makes perfect sense to me because Max wasn't around. And yeah, he had said like somebody stole my mask, but like they hit that more home after the Jay White attack. So yeah, it was if it is Cole, it's Jay White. It's revenge for the incident at Forbidden Door that put Cole on the shelf for a long time. So like there are multiple angles to take it. If it's Cole, then attacking Jay White, it's like screw you for what you did to me at the first Forbidden Door. If it's Max, then it's like, well, you wanted my title, screw you. You know, there are different stories that kind of weave in and out to make that make sense. So that's fine with me. Someone had said something that I found interesting. Oh, it was going back to the heels getting booed thing. And then people pointed out Christian, yes, and Don Callis, yes. What do those two people have in common? They've been in the business for a very long time. I hope that those talent, I hope that they impart the same wisdom on the younger talent who are doing a lot of things right in the ring, but need that extra character work to get the crowd really invested in cheering or booing, regard where they are on the depth chart. That's really what I'm getting at.
Christian also goes for a very type of heel behavior that not everyone's going to be able to pull off. Kind of the same thing with Don Callis. Don Callis, none of the heat transfers to the people it should be transferring to. They just boo Don Callis. Christian is at least getting good heat on Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne as well by his words and his actions. But not everyone's going to be able to pull off, because you don't need multiple people talking about dead fathers. Like, not everybody's going to be able to do the kind of Christian way of doing things. Because MJF was great at just like getting heat because he would cut a certain way that got him heat. Swerve was trying to do it in a different way, but then people just started respecting his in-ring performances so much. It's like, we like this guy. And the Nana dance as well. It's like, we like this guy. We want to cheer. We want to make noise for him. Everyone always says it's easier to be heel than a babyface because you can just, say awful things type of, and get heat off of that. But yeah, when it comes to them making baby faces, they just haven't done the best of jobs at it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I hear a lot of people when they're at the shows being like, everyone was cheered. And I'm like, oh, well, that's not great. there needs to be people booed. Like you can enjoy the matches, and I can sit there and be like, oh yeah, I will. I appreciate that this person's the bad guy. I don't need to cheer for them to tell them that. I need to boo to get them to they want you to boo them. That's really what it comes down to. And I think more people need to tell their friends, don't cheer the heels. Don't cheer the bad guys just to be like, we support you. No, boo them, because that's going to show that you support them. You're playing along. Go to Rocky Horror Picture Show on Halloween, and everyone's they're responding, call and response, and they're acting out the movie in front of you while they're watching the movie. That's what you want. This is theater. They want the reaction based on the character they're portraying, not and this is like the sports like feel fandom that sometimes gets taken away in wrestling, or that gets maybe added a little too heavily as well, I should say, is that people are more invested in the people that they like instead of the characters they portray. And that's tough.
This is where you need a strong baby face to play off of it, though, because
yes,
like Swerve, yeah, he was getting some cheers in the Hangman, but not too many. Like they started cheering Swerve now after the Hangman match that he won, and it's like, oh, okay, I get it. Like, so if you have a strong baby face that people are like, oh, we want to cheer this guy for 100%. Now they're facing this guy. Oh, we definitely want to boo this guy. Then they probably will boo him. But a lot of these people that they're turning, they haven't made a strong enough baby face in some of these cases.
Yeah, there's there's room for improvement in that way. But again, Dynamite this week was a lot of fun. The Continental Classic, the Continental Classic matches were good. This is a tournament that I'm going to be more invested in probably in weeks 3 and 4, whereas weeks 1 and 2, I'm just it's a feel out. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to figure out what's the story. We're just, son of a bitch. What's the story we're trying to tell in the first week? And so far, it's just that the people who are dominant are dominant. The people you expected to win, they're winning. They are, and that's okay. Now it's going to be when we start getting deeper into this tournament. That's not very long, but deep enough that these people are going to face each other. Who's going to slip up first and lose? Because if we're doing sports like presentation, that happens in sports. The number 1 team can just easily fall to the number 32 seed, just like that, if they have a rough night. That first upset is going to be built to be something bigger, judging by the way this tournament has started so far.
What's the upset, though? Because that would be a Jay Lethal win, and I don't know if Jay Lethal...
No, I thought Daniel Garcia win. I think it'd be a Garcia win, because right now he's basically saying, I feel like garbage. I feel like I'm not good enough. And he keeps losing. So that first win is going to be something that I know, but then what do you do from there? I know, because now I'm thinking, like, he gets the win, he celebrates. What does he do? He just does the dance. I think at that point he should be like, oh, I won. I'm done with this stupid dance. I'm going to move on and be a good wrestler.
And what if he beats, let's say, Brody King? I know Brody King's actually coming off a win, but like, let's just say he beats like Brody King, and that's like his only win. It's like, well, okay, you still lost a bunch of these matches. Like, that's why, like, these tournaments are hard. It can be hard to lay out, and not having as many wrestlers to use either can also make it more difficult, because you can't tell as long of stories with these. This is why the G1, it's easy to do an upset that first week, because then you still got 8 matches to do and to get those wins back and everything. You lose that first match, it's like, oh, you only got like 3 other matches to try to I guess it's what, 5, because there's 6 people in each. Yeah. So it's like you got 5 other matches, but that's still not a whole lot of time to try to really 4 other matches if you lose the first one, to try to rebound off of that. There's just it's not a lot. And like, what does 1 win do if you're still at the bottom of the bracket? There's not a whole, like, you're not getting too far back into things there. This is why I think I thought Swerve should have lost his first week. And not to Jay Lethal, because Jay Lethal wouldn't have been the guy to do this. But like, if you did it with Mark Briscoe, because people love Mark Briscoe, right? If he'd beaten Mark Briscoe, because Swerve had just wrestled that death match. So if Swerve loses that first week, I know fans might not be like too thrilled of like, why Swerve losing after he just won this death match, but like, he just wrestled this death match. People do love Mark Briscoe. It's like, well, the death match took a lot out of him. Mark Briscoe won, and then Swerve goes on a roll. That's a story right there of like, oh, the death match took a lot of, now he's had a week to recover from everything. Now he gets an easy victory over Jay Lethal. Sorry, Jay Lethal, not really. He gets a victory over Jay Lethal. And then it's like, okay, that was kind of the gimme match. Now he goes into the rest of the tournament. Like, that's a story to tell. Like, right now, they're just kind of, it's like, yeah, the dominant people are the dominant people. Like, we kind of figured that. I haven't seen, at least so far, much, and it's early. It's early. This is not a complaint, by the way, but usually that first week sets up a lot. And for this week, the first week was just the people you thought were going to win won. And then the second week was the people you thought were going to win won. You know, we'll see what changes on Collision and Danielson now wrestling, because Danielson, the stories there with Danielson of he's coming off the injury. He's going to have to wrestle a more compacted schedule because he missed that first week. Technically Andrade does as well. He's got to wrestle a more compacted schedule too. So there can be a story there, but if it's just like, we're just setting up Danielson and whoever for the finals, we're just setting up Swerve and Moxley for the finals. It's like, that's fine. That's what people want. But that's also what people expected. And you didn't really give me anything more than just guys won matches and you made them mean a little bit more through this tournament.
I'm trying to think through. So, well, actually the big kind of takeaway that I had with Danielson appearing this week was he flew. So I guess whatever injury, he's had worked on, he's now been cleared for flying. So it's good. He, like you said, he's going to
wrestling tomorrow.
He's wrestling, but I mean, he was always going to wrestle. The question was always whether or not he could, make the towns. Because initially, you and I said like maybe he's going to start wrestling like in 2 weeks and have a very compacted schedule. But no, it's going to be that he starts this Saturday, and that's good. I'm glad that that's happening. So the collision block, the blue block, is really, I don't know. They're both compelling in their own different ways, because on the gold block you have some really, really important wrestlers right now in terms of their development and their build and their ascent into potential main event matches. And then on the blue side, you have the same thing, but you also have established, main event talent. I'm really just talking about Swerve and White at this point on the gold block. And then on the blue block, like you've got Daniel Garcia, who's been, having his problems. He's been losing. And then you got Eddie Kingston, who really, upped the ante of the tournament, and he also lost his first match to Brody King. So like there is some storytelling there, but I'm hoping, like I said, that in weeks 3 and 4, we really do start getting some semblance of, how this thing plays into the start of how it started. Does that make sense? I want to be able to look back. I want to be able to look back on this tournament and be like, oh, okay, this made sense here. This made sense here. And not be like having to do the social media homework where someone explains it for me. Where like I connect the dots and I see that this worked because of this, or that this is going to, create this tension or this story out of this particular tournament.
Well, because it is condensed, because there are less matches and everything. Again, the G1, they set up a lot of stuff in those first 2 matches of like, oh no, Okada lost his first 2 matches. Oh boy, now he's fighting from behind. And so there's an extra sense of urgency in that. You lose 2 matches in this, it's like, oh, well, you're kind of almost out of it immediately. So it's a little bit more difficult. And it's tough to just lay out in a TV format as well. Like it is. I don't know how much Tony wants to use draws. A lot of people thought we would get it with Swerve and Jay White. We didn't. Swerve won. And it looks like we're just going to get a dominant Swerve run, which is good. Probably, like, I have no issue with that if they're trying to really make Swerve. Again, I personally would have maybe had him lose that first match and then go on the run. But I got no issue with Swerve winning a bunch of matches. We'll see in the coming weeks. There is more intrigue in the other block because you can play around with it a little bit more. The Wednesday block is, it's going to be Swerve, Moxley, and Jay at the top of that thing. The Saturday block, it's like you got Danielson, but then you got other guys who could order anywhere, and I wouldn't feel like it's wrong. Like if you put Garcia second, I said Garcia was a dark horse to win this thing. Like if you put him second after Danielson, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. If it's Rush, if it's Andrade, like whoever I guess Rush is on the other brand, sorry. But if it's Andrade, if it's Brody, if it's Eddie, if it's Claudio, if they're second, I'm like, yeah, all of that makes sense to me. So we'll see with the Saturday block what they end up going. People mentioned the promo, Jay White's promo. They've been doing a lot of good promos on social media. I don't know how you get those things on TV because that means stuff's got to get cut because these are like 2-minute promos. And like you do 2 minutes, you do 6 competitors. My math is mathing to about 12 minutes there. So you got to find 12 minutes at some point of the show. That can be difficult to cut. I would say maybe take the I don't even know like the best ones because like Mark's was really good. Jay's was good. Swerve was amazing. Moxley's was really good. Like that's 4 right there. And it's like, all right, so now you're cutting 8 minutes from something. It's tough to want to see how those get on TV, but at the same time, like you got it. Yeah, Rampage is probably like,
yeah,
I would air some of this stuff on Rampage for sure.
There is a way to do it where you can push people to your socials as well. You take the first 30 seconds, and that's the thing. The wrestler has to know, or at least have the time cue in their head, or someone giving them like okay, now keep going, like just that cut space, so that the social team could take the full amount, and then the TV team could take a 30-second clip, put it on the television show, and it would get the same effect, because these are really good promos and they are telling really good stories, and it would be great to have it on TV where the bulk of your audience is watching. And then you can say, if you want even more comments from so and so, go over to AEW on YouTube, social media, whatever. The full video is up there for you right now.
Yeah, I think that's maybe the best way to do it is like, hey, check out the AEW YouTube page, and for post match promos from these post match comments. You don't want to say promos, you want to try to make it real. For post match comments from the competitors in the tournament, because I don't even think they're on YouTube. Like this is insane to me. By the way, like they're on Twitter. You can find them on Twitter, but if you go to AEW's YouTube page, they're not there. I think they really dropped the ball with their YouTube page, and I've told this to people in AEW that I think their YouTube page, they dropped the ball by only having kind of select clips and not having like Mariah May's debut isn't on there. The Tony Storm segment is not on their YouTube page. Like it's not there. Most of their stuff on YouTube, it happens in the ring. The one exception from this past week is Sting and Flair's announcement, because it was Sting's big announcement, right? That's why it was there. Otherwise, that's probably not on there. There's no other backstage stuff. Everything else is in the ring. And I know a lot of the action lives in the ring on the AEW, but like you got to put some of these, like, this is what WWE does amazing. I know people get mad about it and everything, but like everything's on YouTube. You got your digital exclusives that are on Twitter, that are on YouTube, that are on Facebook. I'm sure like you gotta put these promos on YouTube, man. You ain't getting knocked when you're a big company like this. I know, Joel, like we're always worried about like the algorithm and too many videos and stuff. When you're a nationally televised company, doesn't matter as much. Put as much content on there as you can.
Yeah. Meanwhile, last night I'm like, the hell are they doing a FMC on Thursday night? What is this? But also I was like, I get it. So
we didn't have any other content yesterday. So
that's fair. We've got interviews that we can run. I don't really care.
We do. I've been kind of bad on that. I've been busy.
It's okay. I really was not upset or confused. Rocky Romero is going to be joining us any minute now. So we'll talk about a little bit more after we're done with Rocky. But yeah, this is a good conversation to have. Again, I said it. I believe in it. AEW had a good week. I'm looking forward to what I read from Rampage. I am a spoilers reader. I don't care. It kind of it tips me off as to whether or not I want to sit and watch the rest of the shows. And I'll probably watch Rampage. We'll definitely be watching Collision this week. There's a lot of good stuff coming up. So it's good. It's a better time than it has been in the last couple of months to be watching AEW from our vantage point.
People are talking about kind of the YouTube stuff and everything, because we still kind of talk about this. Sure. All right, so Weisel says some of the promos are on Instagram. Like they should be everywhere. This is my point. They should be everywhere. WWE, the Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, everywhere. They should be everywhere. You know who else is everywhere? Joel Pearl. Look at this transition. Rocky Romero is everywhere. Do the thing.
If he's ready, he can give us a thumbs up. There he is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, MLW One Shot is Thursday, December 7th, Melrose Ballroom in New York City. It's on Fight Plus. You can check out this guy. He's going to be facing, oh man, I don't want to mess this up, but I am. Mascara Dorada. It's going to be for the MLW middleweight and CMLL world historic welterweight titles. We're very, very, very much excited to, sorry, I'm trying to change the overlay. We're welcoming Rocky Romero. Hi, Rocky. How are you doing? I messed everything up. It's great.
Oh, no, we don't.
I can't hear you.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Rocky.
Your audio. Oh, you can probably hear us.
Yeah, he can hear us.
Well, that's okay. Good. Oh, we're going to do
Rocky, it. We know you do a lot of interviews.
Yeah. This is the best screen to be caught on.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
I blame Sean. Sean probably tried to sabotage us. He's like, why are these guys talking to Rocky? So
for sure.
Yeah.
Let's all blame Sean. Let's blame the world's problems on Sean. It's his fault.
I mean, a lot of people do for some reason. So.
I watch Twitter or X or whatever you call it now, but yeah, it's true. How you guys doing this morning?
We're great.
Good. How are you? Thank you for joining us.
I'm doing well. A little early for me for interviews, so if I'm a little Not all there. Give me a second. I'm just waking up.
We ask hard-hitting questions here, and my first question to you is: you're on MLW One Shot next week. So, if you had one shot and one opportunity to seize everything you've ever wanted, one moment, would you capture it or just let it slip?
Probably, I would have no choice to let it slip. Yes.
All right.
I would try to capture it, but it would slip either way, you know? I wish I had a good Eminem reference to come back with you. I don't know. I don't know enough Eminem to give you a good one back. Sorry.
You don't have any leftover spaghetti in the fridge you can pull out? Nothing like that?
No, not this time.
Talking about MLW, you've got the match next Thursday at the Melrose Ballroom. You've been working with Selena De La Renta. Selena was on this show not too long ago, and she talked about working with you and said that, you know, your interactions had mostly been phone-based. Now that that's changed, what's it been like working with Selena De La Renta?
Selena is awesome. She's awesome. You know, it's cool to see how MLW has changed since the last time I was there a couple of years ago, and kind of like she's like the glue of the whole show, you know, in so many ways. You know, she's obviously extremely creative, and she's a great character on screen, and she brings a lot of charisma to it, you know. So it's been fun interacting and working with her. And you know, and we're doing some good stuff on MLW. I think that the things that we're doing on there have been really, really good, and I'm proud of it and excited for One Shot. I haven't wrestled at the Melrose Ballroom at all, and I'm pretty excited. I heard it's a really cool, intimate venue. So, and then my match to Mascara Dorada. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw the first one in CMLL. I don't know how much you guys follow CMLL, but you know, we killed it. So it's going to be an awesome match, and it's going to be an awesome event. And I'm ready to get into shenanigans and do what I got to do and help bringing CMLL to the States, and really showing off in this match, double title match, which is pretty sick. And yeah, overall, I'm ready to go.
I want to ask you about your recent appearance at AEW. You shared the ring with a couple of people in MLW also, Josh Bishop and Tom Lawler, and you helped bring Kenta to AEW as well, is what Dominic Guarini told us. How was your experience at AEW? I'm from Ohio, from Akron, Cleveland area. So how was your experience at AEW? And when Josh Bishop asked you to do anything dumb, like the double entrance, they did that double entrance gimmick, him and Tom Lawler. He said that, Rocky was very confused by it, but he thought it was great. And anything we pitched to Rocky in that match, he was all for. So what was your AEW experience like?
Overall, AEW is awesome. What an awesome fan base. You know, AEW is one of those places that you hear a lot about. And I was looking back through my messages with AEW, and they go back to like 2016. So we just never were able to make anything happen for this long. So it was pretty cool to finally be in front of that crowd. And there was definitely a lot of fans who were excited to see me, which, you know, sometimes I'm not used to. You know, I'm not the biggest, most important wrestler out there, you know, so it was cool to interact with a lot of different folks. And yeah, I overall enjoyed it. I didn't understand what was going on at all about the double entrance, because when I was like the second entrance or third entrance. So when I got out there, I saw like one other person, and then I was like, where's Tom and Josh? Didn't they already come out? And then another music hit. Then I thought, like, I don't know what was going on. Then they came out again, and I don't know. They think they're a tag team, but they're in 4 ways every match. I don't know. It's a very cool, weird concept, but I'm all for it. So like stuff like that's out of the box, you know, because I wrestle a lot in New Japan and you know, AEW or OH, you know, whatever. So it's more straightforward, you know, more sports based, you know, is most of the stuff that I'm doing now. So to have like a bunch of shenanigans like that, I'm like all for it. I love it. You know, I'm a creative guy too, so I love that stuff.
Josh, when we talked to him, he's like, I didn't know if Rocky was going to go for this because he's like New Japan, like super serious, straightforward. And I was telling him, like, he works with Gallows and Anderson. Trust me, there's probably nothing you can pitch him that he has not already heard.
Nor there's nothing that'll make me go like, what?
Yeah.
Like working with Gallows and Anderson, you know. I mean, Talk Shop Mania is my two favorite all time. I think they're the best pay-per-views of all time, you know, but like that's just my personal opinion, but I'm also a part of it. So but yeah, so yeah, there's nothing you can throw at me that I won't be like, oh, that's fun. That's cool. Let's do that, you know.
Well, listen, you talk about shenanigans, talk about storytelling and everything, and being a part of multiple companies. You have become the forbidden door. But here's the big question: Rocky Romero, are you the devil in AEW?
I wish I was, because he's about to cash in and make a whole lot of money. He or she. He or she.
Good catch.
You know. So
worth
I wish
asking.
I was. I wish I was, and I wish I knew who it was, because I do want to know already. And I was sad that we didn't find out at Full Gear. So I was like, oh man, you gotta wait longer. No, and so hopefully we'll find out December 30th. Yeah.
Well, who knows? We got hat hair Wardlow running around, so
I don't know if the body type fits Wardlow though. You know,
maybe not the devil, but there's some henchmen.
Yeah. True. Okay, true.
I like the response. Easy headline for me. I can easy headline. I appreciate you always give easy headlines when you do the interviews with Sean and everything.
This is the hardest part. I hate it. Because then I'm like, I didn't say that exactly like that. When the quote comes up, it's like 3 words that I said of like 2 sentences about whatever topic. And they take these little things and they make them into they chop it up into headlines. I'm just like, what? Yeah,
that's everybody else, not us. We don't.
No. Fightful's cool. Fightful's cool. But no, but it's the people that take the stuff from your interviews. Those folks. I got gripes. I'm ready to throw down.
Oh, feel free to air them. We'll give you the graphic. Rocky Romero addresses his enemies. Full graphic here.
Yeah. I like it.
The AEW Continental Classic going on. New Japan Strong involvement in that the New Japan Strong title is on the line, the open weight title, but no New Japan Strong wrestlers. I thought that somebody like a Tom Lawler or Fred Rosser would have been like great in this, because they have been such cornerstones of New Japan Strong. What were your thoughts when you heard Eddie Kingston made this announcement that the title was going to be on the line? And was New Japan clued in at all on this?
Yeah, so there was something going around that New Japan didn't know, but New Japan was in full. I knew the whole time. I told New Japan. So, but obviously, like it's a unusual concept to have a New Japan champion, right? Put up his titles at the end of this thing. So, so it was it's just a bit unusual. So I think that's where some of the people didn't really fully understand everything. So. But yeah, no, New Japan knew, and I think it's cool. And I think, I really hope at the end of it, it's Eddie or Mox or somebody who does wrestle in New Japan, or even Danielson, comes out on top, so hopefully I don't have to tell my bosses like, oh, we messed up, and now here's somebody that we can't book, like who's in AAA or something. But no, I think it'll all work out. And, I'm excited. I think it's a cool concept, obviously, for US fans as kind of an introduction, because it's like the G1, right? So fans who haven't watched the G1, maybe we'll get hooked on the concept and come on over and, check out the G1 next year, because it's the best wrestling tournament on earth. You can't really duplicate it, exactly. So I do think that it's a cool introduction, though.
But speaking of the G1, recently Will Ospreay had done some work with Impact Wrestling, and there was some talk about having one Josh Alexander come around and do the G1. Your thoughts on the potential of having Josh Alexander come and join the G1 field next year?
I think Josh is an amazing talent, and I think he's picture perfect for Japanese wrestling, especially New Japan. I think he fits perfectly. I mean, he'd be a mega star there. So coming into the G1, that would be incredible. I think he'd do really, really well. A lot of cool matches that and dream matches I think that he could have with a lot of our talents, you know.
Your match against Mystico on Rampage, how did that all come together? And were you expecting it to kind of draw the way that it did? Because once this match was announced, tickets started flying for this show.
Yeah, it was something that Tony and I had been talking about for months. You know, we ever since we did Forbidden Door, we've been talking about the concept of trying to link AEW and CMLL, and if there was a way to do it. And I reached out to Mystico and I had a couple of conversations with him about it, and he was all for it. So it was kind of in his hands to kind of do some of the legwork to make it happen, because CMLL is, CMLL, they rarely work with other companies, but being involved in CMLL as much as I am, and kind of becoming one of the major players in the company over the last year, I said, I think it'd be cool if you worked with MLW. They had a meeting, it all worked out. So I think that I got some points for that. And then, so when it came time to do the Mystico deal and see if CML would be interested, they were definitely open to it, which I wasn't expecting because I didn't know how it was going to go. But yeah, Tony was great. He invited, obviously the CML referee, to be a part of the match to give it that more of an authentic feel. And he also invited Salvador Lutheroth, who's the owner of CMLL, to come to AEW and check out the show. And I know they had a really positive meeting. So I wouldn't doubt it if you see more CMLL talent in AEW and possibly AEW talent in CMLL. I think that's a really big possibility coming into 2024.
This one has always plagued me, and I need an answer to it, Rocky. Talking Shop Mania.
Mm-hmm.
Air Paris shows up out of nowhere. I was a big WCW fan, especially to the end days. How do we get Air Paris? I know he's told the story. I want your side of the story. How did Air Paris and who made the decision that it would be Air Paris that shows up for an event like this? Of all the names, all the people you could have gotten out there.
Well, we couldn't get AJ. So there's one, but two, no, Air Paris was awesome. I'm a big fan of that old school WCW too. So when Gallows was pitching this idea about Air Paris, and a lot of this came from Gallows, and his mind works like no other person I've ever met. He's the funniest man I've ever met in my life. Just like he's doesn't try to be funny, but he's just funny. Things that happen to him are hilarious, and it's funnier because it's Gallows, and he's like almost 7 feet tall, and just wild things happen to him. He finds himself in some funny situations. Yeah, Gallows is a mastermind when it comes to comedy, and he's such a fan of wrestling, like the biggest geek fan of wrestling, that he just knows all these little things like that, and knows everybody. He really knows everyone. So yeah, I don't know exactly. He called Air Paris. He just kind of did it on his own. He told us the idea. Me and Anderson were just like, all right, if you think it's going to work, let's do it. So, that was cool about Talk Shop Mania, is like we had so many different people, like different wrestlers that were a part of it, and the second one was cool too. We had just a mix of talent, and being able to do part of it on the West Coast, we were able to use the budget to use some different talent out here as opposed to just people on the East Coast. So because it was a weird time during all that, during the pandemic, and it was hard to book a show like that, so it was fun. Yeah, it was good though. Yeah, I don't know exactly what went down between Air Paris. What did Air Paris say?
I have the article up. I just closed it, but it basically told a similar story that it was Gallows that did it, but because y'all are a cohesive unit, most of the time I wanted to at least see if there was anything more from your side of things, and the experience of working with him, because by all accounts, easy guy. Just it's fun when these talents show up out of nowhere.
Yeah, super nice guy, and I don't know. Like I said, I was a big fan of WCW and that era. So I thought it was cool that he was just a part of it. And there was a lot of people that weekend when we filmed. that were showing up, and I was just like, what is going on? Like, Vincent was walking around for like half the day, and it was just like, it's all on Gallows' property in the house. And I don't know if he told this, but Gallows' house got destroyed during that week because he had like 30 wrestlers there, and he's got this mega house, and everybody's on different levels, and things got destroyed in the house and all kinds of stuff. So Talking Shop actually had to pay Gallows quite a bit of money just to pay for all the damages from all the wrestlers over that weekend. So then when we did Talk Shop Mania 2, we had to have like security and rules and people like guarding doors so that people wouldn't go all over the house and mess things up. And yeah, it was a little bit more controlled in that aspect, So, but yeah, we definitely lost some money on that one.
Has there been anything? I assume most of it comes from Gallows when it comes to Talk Shop Mania that they just pitch and you're just like, I don't know about this. This might get us in trouble with this person, and then they didn't use
it. A lot of stuff was like, I don't think we can do that, and I don't think we can say that. I don't think we can do this. I don't think. Yeah. I mean, the whole thing, and I didn't even understand the whole concept for like 2 months or whatever, 2 weeks until we were doing that. I was like, wait, what are we doing? So, but then once it all kind of came out and like we saw what it was when we were there, just all the ideas started to flow, the creative started to flow, and it was cool too because everybody that we had on there, when we pitched them the idea, everybody just was laughing and then just tried to make it better, which was great, So it was cool. Like we had the flock on there. We had a bunch of members of the flock just come out of the bushes. Like it's just so random, just random stuff. Like Gallows has so many characters and people that he knows, like all these minions that we call them, they're just like attracted to Gallows. And so it's, I don't know. It's the world of Luke Doc Gallows is a wild world for sure. Glad we could capture it for everybody's entertainment.
Talking about sifting through different creative ideas, someone in our chat, Solvo, who's often here, asks about your approach to mediating with all these companies, because you are involved not only with just intercompany business, but also just you're there working as well. How do you work with all of these people, both as creative and a representative and as a wrestler?
I'm very tired. A lot.
There's your headline.
It's very draining. No, I honestly, I just love professional wrestling. I've loved it for a very long time. And to be able to have the trust of so many people and so many major players in professional wrestling is, kind of the thing that I hope people will remember me by. I obviously want to be remembered by having great matches and stuff like that, but I also want to be remembered as the guy who tried to get everybody to work together and try to change the landscape of professional wrestling.
I asked this of anybody who has been to Japan. The old story with Rivera is it's the best place for wrestling, not the best place for steak. What is Rocky Romero's review of Rivera steak?
Hold on, let me let my dog in because the same thing happened. Whenever I get on these interviews, my dog wants to come in and join. Hold on. Come on in.
We welcome the dogs.
Yeah. There's 2 of them today. And then they're going to complain. They're going to complain and want to leave in like 2 seconds because they're like, Dad's boring today. But Rivera steak, I actually like the steak. It's a little fatty, but I'm used to like the fatty Japanese steaks, and I like it. And they also have the best cream corn soup or whatever it's called. Amazing. I'll eat like 3 bowls every time I'm there. Especially since I don't do rice anymore. It's just too filling. But good red wine, good beer, and decent steak, great soup. That's how
we're
expecting very Romero. We got
Rocky Romero. I'm down. I think Rivera's cool. What's cool about Rivera too is it kind of blew up in the mainstream because it was on some like Japanese like foodie shows. So all of a sudden Rivera would obviously get like their little local area of people that would come in and customers, and then obviously the wrestling crowd, right? But then it turned mainstream, and you actually had to like wait in the line outside to get into Rivera or make a reservation if you're a wrestler. So yeah, I think the whole concept of Rivera is cool, and it's such a important part of the lore and the history of Japanese wrestling.
Well, Rocky, our last question for you is a very important one. It's a little game we like to play. It's called Partner Promo. We're punching the face. I'm going to pick 3 different people. You're going to pick which one you would partner with in a tag match, which one you'd have a promo battle with in the ring, and which one you'd punch in the face in a singles match. Talking Shop Mania edition. Gallows, Anderson, Alex Kozlov. Partner, promo, punch in the face.
Okay. Partner with Carl Anderson. He's my best friend.
He'll do all the work.
Promo.
See, if you partnered with Gallows, you'd have to do all the work. That's the thing.
Hot tag, brother.
I'm going to be honest. All 3 of them, I'm going to do all the work. For sure. So that's not even
Carl.
We can't even throw that in there.
Carl at least will do some of it. The other 2 you got no shot with. You're definitely doing all the work.
I don't know. I think all 3 of them are about the same, I think, when it comes to that. But partner, because he's my best friend. Promo would be Gallows because he's the funniest man I've ever met. And then punch in the face is Alex Kozlov because we have a love-hate relationship, and he puts me through a lot as being his friend. But I love him to death. For sure.
Oh, thank you for joining us today, Rocky. We really appreciate it. Let everybody know where they can find you at.
At Azuka Rock, AZUCARROC on Twitter and our X and Instagram. Gotta get used to that. And you can check out Talk Shop Mania. It's on Fight TV, so you can watch that anytime, anywhere. They still send us checks, so we appreciate them. So thank you.
Okay, now I need to ask this: how much is the Talk Shop Mania money still getting?
We do pretty good when we get checks like quarterly or whatever it is now. They're pretty decent. Yeah, Talk Shop Mania is definitely in the black. For sure.
Good. You know what? Good, because those are some of my favorite events. And Sean Rossap and I stayed up until like midnight watching. I think it was the first one, and then doing a review of the show as well.
I saw that.
Yes,
it was hilarious.
We that's right up our alley. I mean, you know Sean, you've spoken to him plenty of times. Like that's right up our alley. The stuff you guys are doing with Talk Shop Mania.
Yeah, I would. I would love to do another one. I'm not saying I want those guys to get fired anytime soon, but if they do, Talking Shop Mania 3 will happen for sure. But hopefully they don't.
All right, there's my clickbait headline. Rocky Romero says, if Carl Anderson I can actually frame it of like when Carl Anderson and Gallows get fired.
I didn't say when. Though. I didn't say when.
You said if. Everybody put it on
if one day they get fired.
Rocky Romero desperately hopes Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows get released so they can do Talk Shop.
I didn't say desperately.
That's what everybody else is going to run, Rocky. That's what everybody
else
is
going to run. No, I know. But don't be one of those people. Be above
that. Not
us.
us. No, not us at all.
Rocky, thank you so much for joining us again. You can check MLW One Shot on Thursday, December 7th. It's on Fight Plus. So once you get Talking Shop Mania, get Fight Plus. Check out MLW One Shot. Rocky's got a great match against Mascara Dorada for the MLW Middleweight and CMLL World Historic Welterweight titles. Go check it out over at MLW.com. You can get tickets, and of course, all the information's there. Rocky Romero, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Hey, thank you so much, guys. Have a good one. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Rocky. Have a good day.
Thanks.
Rocky Romero, the one and only. That was fantastic. A lot of fun.
Oh, Rocky's so much fun. I've seen plenty of his interviews with Sean, just interviews in general. He's a lot of fun. He's great. So yeah, we appreciate Rocky.
Mackenzie Mitchell was just released.
Yeah, I saw that come through our chat. I hope everything's good. I hope that this is not the start of more for the day. I hope
Friday.
I hope everything's good. I do. Like you never want to see any of these releases. It says she was released. Usually if it was an ask, they mentioned that it was an ask. I don't know. We'll see.
You know what? If there's anyone who's gonna, land on her feet real quick, she is someone who's proven time and again that she was one of the least robotic interviewers backstage at NXT. So wishing her the best, man. She just married Vic Joseph. Her husband is someone who works at WWE. She said it herself, met my husband, moved cross country, place I'll always consider home. So hopefully there's room for her soon, wherever she goes.
Yeah, I think Mackenzie Mitchell will land on her feet. I hope she'll be okay, and I hope she's good. And not that I want anyone released, I hope that this is a one-off and not the start of a lot more today. Because could never like those days. Never like those days.
Nope. We've got a SmackDown tonight. Randy Orton, the Viper, is going to be heading to SmackDown following an invitation from Nick Aldis. What's all this then? He's going to get his Randy Orton fix. He's going to sign him to the SmackDown, brother.
Hey, look, I think the Randy Orton thing, I think the free agency thing works. I told you, I think they should be doing stuff like that. Is that how Punk's going to be? I think this is what the GMs should do. Of like, hey, if you return, it seems like Raw would be the place for Orton. He was a Raw Tag Team Champion before he got hurt. I'm pretty sure he was just on Raw, but he's not drafted. He was not drafted, so he's technically a free agent. So these free agents, it should be the GMs should be like, I want this person on my brand. So I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Randy Orton story playing out, because you're right. Free agency should have free agency money and free agency invites and go back and forth. CM Punk, do the same thing with him, unless he's a special attraction. Either way, that's going to be good. And Logan Paul comes to SmackDown. They're really trying to rebound from whatever happened this past Friday on their episode. Ratings wise, didn't do so great. So Logan Paul, Randy Orton, and Kevin Owens is going to be in action taking on Grayson Waller. So that's going to be a fun night of wrestling for SmackDown. And Rampage, thank you. Rampage is going to have a lot of really fun stuff. So go check that out. There's definitely an 8-man tag and a couple of really good matches on the table there. What else is there? There's Collision. There's a ton of matches in the Continental Classic.
Joel.
Yes, Jeremy.
I think Ryan Sullivan mentioned it earlier. I'm trying to make the towns, brother. Yes, tomorrow, I'm trying to make the towns. Sean Ross Sapp is wrestling Shaza McKenzie. Go watch our very something media call.
It was serious, Jeremy. It was
very serious. Yes, very serious media call. I threw myself off because I called Shaza a multi-time wrestler, and it just like came out as I was like just thinking of things.
Well, it's accurate. That's very
it's very accurate.
She has wrestled multiple times.
But I saw Sean and Shaza just cracking up backstage as I said it. I just completely threw myself off on that. Otherwise, I tried to be very professional. The best part of that show, by the way, is like I come on early and Jimmy and Sean are still doing their show, and they were asked about Seth Rollins at WrestleMania and like what they should do and everything. And Sean had to go. He had to go pee. And so Jimmy's there with me, and Jimmy like gives his thoughts on it. He's like, Jeremy, what do you think? And I'm like, oh, I got a real idea. Got a real idea for you, Jimmy. And I pitched the Punk beats Rollins, Cody beats Roman, Punk beats Cody at the 2 WrestleManias. And the chat is just like
dick.
The chat is just like, this is the worst idea ever. Oh, what is he talking about? Completely different audiences, much bigger audience for that show than our audience. Like a lot of the chat is like, oh my God, this is terrible. Who let this guy book stuff? And then we got our regulars who are like, Jeremy trolling booking. This is great. So yeah, the chat had no idea what to expect. Even Jimmy was like, is this one of your serious ideas? Or are you just like trolling with this one. And I was like, I never troll Jimmy Van. Never.
You confuse Jimmy so much. It's hilarious. He sees the value in you, but then you interact with him and he's like, immediately, let's get out of this game right now.
So I'm trying to make the town. So Val's asking, will I still be there? Yes. My plan, foolish as it may be, 6 hours is the drive from the Casa de Lambert to Black Label Pro. 6 hours. There's a time difference there. There's a 1 hour time difference. So it's 6 hours. I'm gonna be there. I know Sean's match is early. I don't want to give like spoilers, but like I know it's early. I've been told that much. It's 7 hours from Black Label Pro to Collision, right? To Collision in Erie, Pennsylvania. 7 hours. Sean's match early. It's at 1 p.m. Eastern time. It's 1 p.m. Eastern, and if it, that's when the show starts. It's early, but that's when the show starts. If I can leave there by 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 hours, I can get to Collision like with the time. It's going to be so tough because it's 12 Central, so I'm losing an hour. So here's the thing. I'll probably get to Collision at like 8:30, 8:45. So I'd be late, which I don't care. I don't care if I'm late as long as I get to see Danielson and Kingston. That's the reason I'm there, right? So I don't care if I'm late to the show. If Danielson and Kingston's closing, I'm good. I'm not worried about it. I'm trying to get the scoop on if they're closing or not. And I can't get an answer yet. I'm hoping to have an answer by Saturday. Because if I learn that Danielson and Kingston's opening, I'm not going to try. I can't do it. I can't pull it off. There's no way to pull it off. But if I learn that they are closing, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to try to pull it off. So if you're in AEW and you're watching this, Tony Khan, please close with Danielson and Kingston, as it should, right? Like, why are you not going to close with Danielson and Kingston? I understand the value in like opening, but like, no, that's the closing match. Danielson and Kingston. Close with that. And I'm going to make 2 shows. In one day across 4 states. Suck on that, independent wrestlers complaining about your bookings.
And then you're going to drive home.
And then I'm going to drive home because I'm only 2 hours from home at that point. So,
that's good. So basically, you're just making a big triangle to get,
Yeah. It's going to be a lot. I got to leave at like 6, I think, 6 in the morning. And then I'll get home at like, if I stay, let's say I stay for ROH.
You're not doing that.
Debatable.
Buddy, come on. We both know you're not doing that. Unless they make it like contingent on your appearance at this show, you must stay for. It's like you get a text from Tony being like, Jeremy, you cannot leave. If you leave during Ring of Honor, you have to pay the full price of your tickets.
I assume I got to take the full price of my ticket anyway. I'm not getting handouts here, but I got to have Danielson and Eddie Kingston last. That's it. That's what it depends on. It depends on when Danielson and Kingston. Oh wait.
The Thurston.
WWE is
what? Yeah, the Thurston tweet. They laid off more corporate employees today.
Yeah, WWE has laid off more corporate employees today, according to multiple people at the company. This follows layoffs of more than 100 employees in September following the closing of the TKO merger. Oh boy.
So the latter half of that statement is as expected, unfortunately. Again, it's a merger. Now the general feeling is that if they laid off McKenzie, probably not the only talent release. That's the unfortunate reality of what we're dealing with.
Yeah. All right. I gotta go.
Yeah. And by the way, get a hotel that night.
No. If I'm 2 hours from home, no. I'm making it at that point. Like, there's no reason that I wouldn't just go home. Like, yeah, if I'm 2 hours, I'm gonna make it home.
All right.
Oh, did the anonymous GM text you and be like,
you may
tell him to get a hotel? Because she's telling me she's told me of like get a hotel and
she
like
told me
no.
that she has implored that you should get a hotel, and you.
So here's the thing.
Here's
the thing. If I stay for the whole Black Label Pro show, which is a possibility, if I learn that Danielson and Kingston are opening and I know I can't make it, then I will most likely get a hotel because driving 7 hours back is going to be like, that's a lot. But if I'm already doing the 7 hours and then I'm at Rampage, Collision, whatever the show is, and then I'm 2 hours, I'm coming home. Like I'm gonna be hopped up. I'll just have seen Bryan Danielson, Eddie Kingston. I'll be so juiced up and everything. Like I can easily make it home in 2 hours. Like I'll have the energy for it.
That is a good point. It could happen. We're gonna see. Listen, just go and enjoy. Hopefully, it's a fun experience for you, and that you make it.
I need to know, Tony. I need to know. I need to know when Danielson and Kingston are going on. You got to tell me. You got to DM me the scoops so I can pre-write my trip. All right.
Shall we get out of here?
I mean, if you want, I hope everybody. I feel bad for people being laid off in WWE. It sounds like it's a lot of office employees, but it seems like it could be a little bit more. Yeah, this sucks.
Yep. Again, corporate layoffs at WWE. That was expected. It doesn't mean it sucks any less. I just want people to be cognizant of the realities of a merger, of a major merger. There are certain, departments that cannot be doubled as a result. So it is what it is. We'll see how it plays out with talent. So far, Mackenzie Mitchell's the only one. Sucks to go off the air like this, but this is kind of what we're going to do. Wrestling is a lot this weekend, so go watch it and go enjoy it. Take some time out, go outside, enjoy the weather. If it is nice, if it's not, just go outside anyway, because everyone deserves to go outside. Jeremy Lambert, plug the stuff. Let's go home.
We'll end on a happy note. Here's a happy note for everybody. Thanks everybody for all the support this week. Really appreciate it. We had Kip Sabian on Monday, which was a lot of fun. I don't know, big get like, but a lot of fun having Kip on. AEW talent, Kip Sabian. Zach Cadorn was kind enough to join us on Wednesday. Don't want to downplay him, but also then we had Rocky Romero today. Like those are, good names we like to think in the world of professional wrestling. So it was a good week for us in the weeds. We appreciate all the support. Everybody tuning in for the shows this week. We are on the main channel on Monday. So I don't know what we're doing yet, but
I should probably tell Impact that we are on the main channel, so the reach will be bigger.
Hey, look, cool.
I'll say it now. Normally when there's Impact Town or TNA Town, I'm the guy reaching out at this point. So my hope is that they will give us someone ahead of Final Resolution, which is next Friday or next Saturday, I should say. So the hope is that they'll come and join us.
We hope so when it comes to Impact. We like Impact.
We do. That's why I'm going to 2 of their major shows in the next 2 months.
Maybe we'll have the winner of Sean Ross Sapp and Shaza McKenzie on Monday.
I feel like we're going to have the winner of that match regardless. And the loser.
Yeah, we might have the loser on.
Let's have them both. Yeah. Who knows?
But I again want to thank everybody for your support, not only this week, but just the entire time we've been doing this show. This week feels a little bit bigger because, we wanted AEW people. I've always said that like having NXT, AEW, WWE, any New Japan, like we love having the independent talent on there. We like having just a variety of people, but to have people who are associated with national television companies, it feels like a big deal for our silly little show. So to have Kip Sabian and Rocky Romero this week was really cool. And we're just gonna we couldn't do it without everybody supporting this show. So I appreciate everyone who does support this show. And I hope everyone has a good weekend. I hope everyone enjoys, whether it's SmackDown, Rampage, Collision, Black Label Pro, whatever you're watching this weekend. Enjoy it. And we'll be back on Monday.
Looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing you on the main channel for our Monday takeover. We will be there. And of course, subscribe to us here on the channel and leave a thumbs up on your way out. Tell your friends about us, would you? We're fun. We're different. We're hip. We're with it. Anyway, I'm done. I am Actual Pearl, JOELPEARL. That was an Austin Powers reference that went over Jeremy's head at least. JOELPEARL, ladies and gentlemen, friends beyond the binary. We will see you on Monday.
It's mine.
Maybe we won't. We'll see. Cheers.